All right, we're watching Deep Dive 3, Planet Coaster 2. Let's do it. I wanted to watch this earlier, but I felt I'll watch it and I'll watch it with you guys, you know?
Robert James, and I'm a UI designer on Planet Coaster 2.
Yeah.
And I'm Xander Payne, and I'm a senior games designer on Planet Coaster 2.
We're really excited to be talking about Planet Coaster 2 today. In this deep dive, we're going to talk
I'm really excited to watch it. So
about all the management features that we have to offer.
great.
So, let's get straight into us.
Let's get straight
updates.
into it. Mastering management.
So here we are in one of our career levels. Summit
Okay.
Awesome. So
Look at the monorail
really-
back there. It goes over that big, like the big cliff. Already looks great.
interesting level, actually. I love what they've done with the art team for these scenarios. Really, really interesting.
They've made
Yeah.
it just so beautiful, having things like I love that we've got like the park set up into two sides, and then with the
That's
monorail going
cool.
between the two. It is really
Really
cool.
interesting.
It is really cool.
But it's worth
They
noting.
make sure it's in like HD, right? We're in like Ultra HD. Yeah, we'll make sure it's locked in there.
That we are on a development build, so not everything you see here is final. So to dive straight into all these management features, so first we're going to take a look at the HUD. So in the previous deep dives, we've shown off things about the browser, but it's good to kind of have a look and see
Have a
what
cheeky
things
look.
maybe didn't exactly get explained or touched on. So first off, all the blueprints are here by default, and then you
This was also kind of confusing because I actually did play this. It's like you want to build a new one, it's right here. All these are like blueprints, which are like pre-built stuff. You know? So that's actually presented first of all. If you want to build a new coaster, you press this button here.
You can also
Probably
look at
explain that.
the tools on the right. These tools are present in each one of the tabs inside of the browser. And this allows you basically to switch between building new or building from these blueprints.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the same across these. Inside of the career levels as well, you will have some research. So not all these blueprints will be available to you straight off the bat, but as you progress through the career, you're going to be able to unlock more of these blueprints, but you can always build new. So there's always an option for you.
Great.
And then
Oh,
in
car
the
ride.
scenery as well.
Lots of blueprints
Lots
in
and
the scenery.
lots of scenery.
The art team have outdone themselves, bringing so many items to our blueprints to the game.
As well, one of the things that you'll be happy to know about is the fact that we can actually increase the browser size. With, as you say, with so many scenery paths, it's good that you're able to see more and more of them. If we look up in this top left-hand side, you've got a few extra tools that'll be really integral to your management. So one is notifications. Obviously, we got notifications for all different types, and usually the ones that will appear in here will be kind of the minor ones. But as things start to progress and more important things start to appear, you will see new variations of this.
Just gotta know all those. Are you gonna be playing on a laptop? What do you mean?
Notification button appear down here,
Good
so
to
that you can
know all
always
those.
have a straight look at the really important things going on in your park. For example, if a staff were to be fired or something like that, that's something you really need to know right off the bat.
Don't need to know that. What are they going to do?
One of the other tools
Am I not
we've
the one
got
who
is park
fired them?
expansion. A really, really cool tool. So we haven't really got much additional land to build on in this level, but in some of the other ones, you're able to expand out your level by buying different sections of land. And one really cool thing that we're doing is giving limitations on these bits of land as well. So as you can see
Don't
here,
look
like this
down.
one, for obvious reasons, you can't put passable walls or terrain or scenery. And there'll be loads of different variation throughout all the different career levels. So it gives players a real challenge on how they design their parks. The next thing, objectives. So obviously with any career campaign, you have your objectives.
Yeah.
You've got your bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. And these will be unlocked as you progress through the story. You can open this on the side, or you can pin it on the top.
Oh, cool.
So you always have that visible as you do other things.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
And then last but not least is our management screens.
All right.
So we've got a few different areas. I won't touch on them all because we're going to look a bit deeper in some of the sections a bit later in this deep dive.
Another deep dive?
But if we start off with, let's say, park options, so these are just the basic ticketing options and whether you want to open, close park, that sort of thing, and renaming it. But one thing we've tried to keep integral within our management screens is this idea of sort of modular sections and having less information but showing more. So
A
it's
deeper
a lot
dive.
more understandable for players, and if they want a sort of not necessarily diving really, really deep like you could with the info panels. This is supposed to be surface level, interesting things that can make you do quick actions. So another one, for example, park rating, a lot more clear than in the first game. You're able to see which ones do really well, and also we got this weighting system. So the one that's performing the worst is actually going to have the most effect on your park. So it's almost like an incentive to try and keep all 4 of them kind of equal as you progress, so that the one that's doing the worst isn't going to really pull down your park rating. Very quickly on guess, you've got some different thoughts, and then it also says your guess needs here. Obviously, the higher the percentage, the more you're meeting those needs.
Yeah. So high is good, low is bad.
Yeah. And Xander's going to really dive into this deeply in a minute. So the next thing we'll look at quickly is the attraction and shops. So this is just basically a big list of everything that's in your park. You've got these drop-down menus, so you can easily organize. You've got your different sorting abilities at the top.
Right.
Able to see prestige, income, price, that sort of thing. So you can see everything at a kind of global level within your park. And this is very similar then to the staff as well, where you can see all of your staff, how they're paid,
janitors,
names, locations, all that sort of thing. Research is what I briefly mentioned when I was talking about the browser. So
it automatically organizes. It's fine. You know what I mean? It's doing it for me.
Obviously, you're able to unlock all these different blueprints, and this will be done through this research screen, where you gain research points through your career levels, and then you're able to use them here, spend them to unlock different blueprints.
Yeah, so something that's worth pointing out here is that over the original Planet Coaster, we are now unlocking research across your whole campaign, so that you gain different nodes throughout the campaign, which you then keep.
And I won't dive.
That's gonna be like 2 Point Hospital. If you research something in one level, you've unlocked it for the entire game, kind of thing. So it's not like level to level. Once you get that coaster unlocked, then you've unlocked it for the rest of the game. Unless you're playing Sandbox, which in the case it doesn't matter because you've got everything unlocked anyway. But for the career mode, it sounds like it's like 2 Point Hospital.
Too much into this one because we're going to talk about this a bit later, but these are your finances. Inside of the settings now, we have added this accessibility tool
to be able
to increase and decrease your UI scaling. So
okay,
if I
nice.
apply it here, so everything got larger. So it's great for people on PC who want to be able to play the way they want to play.
Or if you're on a TV and the TV's really far away, maybe, or like a small screen like a Steam Deck, that's handy.
You can see this is increased across everything.
Yeah,
so
that's really good.
All the browser is bigger, all these buttons.
Oh, yeah, the
info
museum
panels,
one does
everything.
look cool.
Next, we're going to talk about heat maps, which I know you really are excited to talk about, Xander.
Yeah. So the heat maps, they're a great sort of tool we've provided into this game that allows you to see how everything is working in your park. So on this first heat map,
the first game had heat maps too,
and we can see if guests are happy or
mood
or less happy based on the colors that the guests show up within the mood. And scrolling through the different ones, you can see that you can see the same things for their needs. So you can see where your guests are thirsty in your park and where they are hungry as well. The next one we can see here is for guest tolerances. So in the original Planet Coaster, guests would have a tolerance for their nausea and fear. We have now got a few more tolerances, and the guests will assess your rides based on both the ride height, the speed, as well as the fear and the theming and the length of the queue. So different guests will be willing to wait for different lengths of time in queues, which is really cool.
Yeah, really cool. And as well, we've also added more complexity to the staff as well. So yeah, we've got staff morale. As we can see here, if we zoom in on this little mascot guy, we've got the staff morale, we've got staff pay, and we have the staff breaks.
Gulpy looks like he needs to go on a break.
So yeah, it's not only guests that we've improved on, we've also improved on the staff as well.
Nice.
The next one we're looking at is power. So power is a new feature that is in Planet Coaster 2.
Yeah, and I messed around a little bit with this as well.
And this allows you to, power your rides. So it seems like logical. So I believe you've placed down a new coaster in this park. It might be on the other side. And over here, we can see that it has not got any power, and it has a lovely little flashing UI icon for you.
Okay, so We don't need a generator, we need a distributor. So we already have generators on this side, as you can see, since half of it is already powered. So we just need another distributor to basically increase this radius that has been made from the generators. So we need it. We're not artists, so this isn't going to be pretty. We will just put it down. We'll link it up to the system, really easy. And boom, there we are.
So now we've got the water heat map, which allows you to see if you've got water running to all of your pools properly. And you can also see the water cleanliness.
It's kind of like a Planet Coaster.
Another feature of the water system.
I did ask them during my playthrough if the guests like care about seeing those things, and they said as of right now, no, they don't care. But maybe that's a later thing.
So the other thing you can do is
because I mean, in Zoo they do not want to see the generator. They didn't want to see it, so I'm sure that will be a thing in this game.
Look at your profit, look at your finances, and these will then highlight all of your shops, your guest services, that kind of thing that will get you money over time, and you can basically see how well or badly they're doing. The next one to look at is the scenery, which I know is close to your heart, Xander. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So scenery is something that's very important to the guests and to your park. So the rides themselves look at the scenery, and they will, that will increase the prestige of the rides. In the original Planet Coaster, the scenery system was often quite opaque, and the players didn't necessarily see how it was working. So in this one, after request, we have brought it up to the players in a heat map so that they can really see exactly what the scenery is doing and where it is affecting things.
Yeah, it's really interesting as well, because we know that our players love the creativity aspect. So it's really good to kind of link this in between the more improved management systems that we're trying to work with. So you can make really beautiful parks, but it also has the impact as well. And then lastly is operations.
So this is the sort of the wear and tear features of the rides, so how things are functioning. So we've got the condition, which tells you if the ride is working or if it's in need of assistance, basically.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we got pool safety as well, which is basically if you've got these brand new staff types,
trash right there.
lifeguards, which we will jump on after this when we start to talk about the pools. They basically just monitor and just make sure that all your pool is safe for all the guests that come across. So that is all of our heat maps so far. So you explained a lot about the guests and the improvements we've done, and how much deeper we've really gone into the systems there. But we've also got the weather as well, which also has impacts on guests, right?
Yeah. So the weather itself can affect the guests in several different ways. One of the main ones being sunburn.
They get wet.
So if you
sunburn.
If you have a very hot park, you've been blessed with good weather, then your guests will start to experience things like sunburn. So it's important to provide the guests with sun cream, which can be bought from several shops, or to also provide shade and cover in the park so that they aren't exposed to the sun for the whole duration of their stay.
And also on the flip side of that as well, when it starts to rain quite a lot, what do you need? An umbrella.
Exactly.
We're used to that in the UK, nothing but rain. So you want to make sure that your shops, you're providing these things.
And when it rains, you crank up the price of the umbrellas. So it's like, buy it when it's not raining, but when it rains, we crank up the prices of the umbrellas.
Do you want to be able to provide the sun cream, provide the umbrellas, make sure your guests are happy in all weathers?
So here is an example where it is actually raining,
nice.
and you can see the guests themselves have got their umbrellas.
Was that in the original Planet Coaster? I think the thing is, I always played Sandbox, and it never rained in the Sandbox mode, so I never really got to see the rain in that game. So I can't remember.
And, as this is Planet Coaster, you can, of course, sell umbrellas to your guests as well.
Yeah, not everyone is going to be so prepared for the rain. You'd always expect when you go to a theme park it's going to be nice and sunny, so if you are slightly disappointed by that, at least you can buy an umbrella in the park.
And something that we wanted to present in Planet Coaster 2 with the weather is the predictability of it. You can see on the screen at the moment what the weather is forecast for the whole day, as well as what you should be expecting to see in the coming days.
That's cool.
Guests will have multiple moods. They will enter your park mostly content, so they are just they're in a happy mood, and this is sort of relaying to the player that this guest has got nothing wrong and they are waiting to have some fun. But then moving on from this, you will find guests that are in a happy mood or an excited mood, which is based on the rides that they have been on. Have they been having a good time? And are they excited to go on more rides? But then to also add to the feedback section of moods, we have some more negative moods, which is based on if they're bored, if they're unhappy, if they're uncomfortable, and if they are desperate.
Yeah, we've got a really interesting range of behaviors with these guests. So it's really cool to be able to see how they react and how you, as someone managing this park, is able to try and contend with those issues and try and meet their needs. We want to talk about the staff now, right?
Yeah.
Been a lot of improvements. But one thing of note is that now we have 2 new staff types. We have the lifeguard and the ride attendant. Given as we're just by a pool, I think the lifeguard's probably a good one to start off with.
So the lifeguards will need to be near your pools, and they will be increasing the coverage of the safety rating in the pools.
I do like now that when you plonk down like a janitor, or in this case a lifeguard, it's a different character, a different person each time. Where the last game it was like literally the same person, the same model. Do you know? We're watching Planet Coaster 2, deep dive. So that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
so
for
as you can see in front of you, you've got the coverage area of that particular lifeguard point. So on here, you can see what area of the pool is being covered when you place this one down.
So here we go. Yep, we place one down. And he will obviously look after the guests within this radius, but then the safety rating, will start to decrease because you aren't covering the entire pool.
The other staff type we've got is ride attendants. Now, in Planet Coaster 2, these are people that are actually staff you have to manage and control and tell them when to actually when to do their shift.
Exactly. So that's just another example of how much additional control now we've got over some of these staff members. And yeah, we've talked about our integral staff, but we've also got a couple new mascots, right?
Yeah.
So one of them is this really, really interesting bard with an absolutely fabulous haircut, I must say myself.
That's so fun.
He's got a lot of flair about him, doesn't he? Really, really.
Oh, he's fantastic. I'm just sort of speechless in awe. Look at him,
love
guys.
the animations. So good.
But it's not just him as well. We also have the Viking as well.
Yeah, the Viking is
and
cool.
He is absolutely Jim Goals. Or she.
She. I was going to say
she in this instance.
She in this instance.
So obviously, when you spawn them, they come in male and female, so you get to see this different variation. And this goes alongside all the other new different mascots that we've gotten. So we got a nice new collection of mascots for players, which we hope they'll really enjoy seeing doing their thing around the park. So there's some more interesting staff features that we can talk about. One of which is the staff zone.
Yeah. So the staff zones is a really great way to sort of paint out onto your park where your different staff are going to work. So you can, if you were to create a new one here, and you will be able to just draw in where it connects up for the staff, and then when you place staff in that zone, they will then operate within the bounds of that zone.
And this links really deeply actually with the staff scheduler. Let's say now I've made this new zone 6, and now I wanted to make sure that our new Viking that we just placed down always stays in there. So we can open the full scheduler here. When you open up the staff scheduler, you can see all the different staff that you have and their names.
You work 24 hours a day.
Yeah, so that is something that is really sort of new over the original Planet Coaster, is the ability that is the functionality of only paying the staff for the work that they do. So when they are not working in your park, you're not paying them for that.
Yeah,
it gives you a lot of control to really specify and sort of maximize your.
I don't
profits,
actually know that what I say. It's this year though, right?
With this system.
Exactly, and you can also go even deeper. So if I just chose, let's say, a janitor, for example, I can go into advanced settings, and then I can select all the things that I want them to do.
I'm like
if
never
I go
going to do any of this.
Here, you can see they're all currently, I believe, they're unassigned to a staff zone. So if I wanted that staff to jump into this new zone I made for the plaza, zone 6, and then now he's there, and it inherits the color and the icon as well, so you don't always have to know the exact name of the zone, as long as when you set it up you're aware that, oh, the red area is this one, yellow is that one, is another accessibility thing for us basically.
If we were to look at one of our staff members themselves, so on here we can see on their panel that they are content, they've got fair pay, and they have taken a break. So what this all feeds in is that the pay and taking rests within a day all feed into the morale system of the staff, which means that if you keep your staff happy, they will work more efficiently in your park, and if you don't keep them happy, they're going to leave your park.
Okay, so now we're gonna.
I'm all just like, it's messy in this area. Plunk down a janitor right there. All right, mess fixed. That's my management. I never get into the zoning stuff. It's just like, I see a problem, I plonk one down, I watch him fix that problem, the end.
Going to talk about the attractions.
Yeah, so as we mentioned earlier in the heat maps, the guests have different tolerances.
Right.
So guests will be examining your ride to see if it matches the tolerances that they have. To see how your rides match up with this, if you were to click on the ride for me, and then if we go to the testing tab,
Yep.
and on here you can see we're currently on the live data, but you can also see the results, which tells you all of this information about the ride.
Yeah, so we'll be able to see from our guests in the park, see if we can actually try and meet their needs, even for the attractions.
Problem solved.
Which is really useful. So hopefully you can't just go in there free roam these incredibly crazy coasters. You have to kind of think about what your guests would actually feel about that, beyond the limitations
Whatever. I just want to add all the things.
of actually building the coaster itself.
One of our other tolerances
Go on.
is actually to do with what the guests can or can't eat. Would you mind showing us a very brief overview of the shop's menu so we can see how these restrictions play into the menu?
Sure thing, yeah. So obviously got a shop here, Chief Beef. Primarily does beef, to no one's surprise. So yeah, you've got your guest thoughts about what people have. You can go into the prices then. You can change
Plain
the prices
burger.
and choose what different things you'd like it to serve. So obviously you got gluten-free burger, cheeseburger,
Oh, this
plain
is
burger.
kind of cool though. It tells you what, kind of gives you like a little thing what they have, you know, beef and wheat.
And then these dietary requirements, as you just mentioned, will appear now inside of these as well. So you know that when you select different items for your shop, you know that they're going to have you're going to be meeting the needs of some, but maybe excluding others.
Yeah. So if you were to just click on on the cogs on the right there, which is for the settings of this particular menu item,
ketchup.
You can see on the left-hand panel there, we've got sort of extras. So you can add extras,
That's
and they will increase
cool.
the dietary sort of what it contains within that one item. So guests will pay more for the items with lots of extras, and they will get more enjoyment out of it. However, you are then restricting the number of items that their guests can actually purchase from if they have any restrictions.
Vegan world.
Exactly. So yeah, if you had some guests
could
with
do that,
extra restrictions, then maybe it's not advisable to go catch.
I guess I don't know if you can make your own burgers though. This is like editing the plain burger. It doesn't look like you take out the burger. I wonder if you can make your own food. Yeah, just make it like bun and lettuce, and then it just like that's all it is.
There's a few more different things that could impact, whereas maybe just adding some extra cheese might be more beneficial and easier for the guests.
We can even see on here the breakdown of how many of your guests can actually eat those items.
We did roughly touch on the power management stuff when talking about the heat maps, but do you want to sort of dive back into that a bit?
Yeah, if we dive a little bit deeper into the power
Brilliant.
management, there's quite a lot to really look at. Central one, yeah, there we go. So with power management, you have multiple different generators that you can use, and you will need to place several generators as well to provide for larger parks. So, and then the generators will then connect up to the distributors, which we are now looking at, and the distributors will sort of say how much power they are able to place in an area, and then you can see how many items or shops and rides and everything are actually connected to that distributor.
We've also got the solar panels as well. So that gives you a green option. So you got these, and then you've also got...
Yeah, then you can hook that up. And as you can see here, these items are showing up red. What this means in this case is that they are not actually connected up to anything else on the grid. So they're not, you've got a power generator that's not doing anything. You might want to make use of it.
Is there anything different between the sort of solar and then the actual power generators?
Yeah, so several of the differences you will experience is that the actual cost to sort of generate electricity will be different across the different generators, and also the costs to place them. So solar panels are significantly more expensive than your generators.
So the next thing is the water supply.
Okay.
So very, very similarly to the power systems, we have the same sort of thing of having we have a well, we have distributors, and we got the pump. So the well and the pump are the things that draw the water.
Yep. So these are your water generators.
Yep.
And then you then have a distributor which has a radius of effect, and that needs to hit the water around it.
Exactly. So you want these to be near in your pool so that they have effect. We use the same systems that we do for power, so hopefully if you master one, you can master the other pretty quickly.
Yeah. Cool. So now we've got our water system set up. You can sort of see that the pools themselves actually have water that, clean water that the guests will be happy to use.
Exactly. So if you didn't have this in place, you start to see that the pools themselves would start to turn like a murky green. They really wouldn't be appetizing to the guests, and you find that they won't start coming to the pool because they think it's got really dirty and muggy. So having this in place will keep all those pools clean, and also for your flumes as well, because the flumes do require you to have the clean water as well.
Yeah. And the more guests that you have going through into your pools, the more sort of filtration that you will need to have set up. So this is based on the throughput of guests.
Exactly, and very similar to the power systems. Again, you have the things like being able to quickly use the panels to go between objects and seeing what's inside them. So hopefully, yeah, as we said, master one, master the other. The next thing we wanted to move on to was maintenance, right?
So maintenance. This is the mechanics and the wear and tear. So looking at the maintenance tab of the water pump, we have multiple areas, including the condition and the servicing. The condition is a familiar part from the original Planet Coaster, where it will start to degrade after a certain period of time, and then your device will break down. So the servicing is the ability for the players to control if this condition is going to go down or not. So you have the service badge, and this badge will sort of last for a certain amount of time, and if you don't keep on top of your servicing, the badge you will lose the service badge, and the condition will start to degrade.
Exactly, and so you basically want your mechanics to be in the vicinity doing the exact thing you want them to do. You could do this through the scheduler, but equally,
plans do have the same
system.
system
If you want an emergency refurbish as well, so you do still have this option in case of an emergency. You can press these buttons, but it's much more advisable that you go through the sort of scheduler and just ensure that a service is due. Like we can see, it's due in 108 minutes. So you just you want to keep on top of it to make sure that your conditions never drop too low. All right, so the final thing we want to talk to you today about is the finances. So these can be found inside of park management. You'll see little splatterings of this information all around all the info panels and everything, but a really good way to see the global view of how your financials are doing in the park is through the management
always
screen.
Positive.
So if I go into the financial sections here, we did briefly touch on this earlier, but I'm going to show you a bit more about it this time.
My arrows will never go
down. Park cash, profit breakdown. As you can see, you've got this huge graph on the right. This is again something I mentioned before about trying to make everything really accessible to the players. So players understand everything when it's a lot more visually attractive. So we wanted to include these graphs.
Is that why people never understand what I'm talking about? Because I'm not visually attractive?
And when you first start off a park, you may not see it being this useful, but the longer your park draws out, the more you start to see these trends, and you get to see how it becomes actual useful information. If you really aren't doing too well, you can actually take out a loan. So the loan system here, so pretty simple. You take out a certain amount of money, and then
never do that. You do that, you're done. You're done. You take out a loan, you're finished.
Say I wanted to take out
a very large loan,
and pay it off.
Game
for the rest
over
of my life.
immediately.
So you take out this loan, and then you get the debt acquired.
What did TwitchCon do to you?
You won't get any interest on this one, but there is a sales cut. So the way you pay it back is than having to come in here and have to decide on how much you want to pay off that. It basically takes it out of your sales, so you never actually see the money being taken directly out. It's kind of like it gets taken off all the money that you receive. while the sales cut does take off the money for you, so you don't have to worry about it, you do still have that option to pay off if you want to, but it's a secondary option. It's not the main way that you have to worry about it. So you can carry on playing. As long as you're improving the performance of your park, it will actually get better and you will start to pay off. So this isn't something you necessarily have to worry about, but as you see here, you
I
pay
don't
off your
understand
loan.
what you're warning me
It says
about.
how much.
What do you mean? What am I being warned about? You mean just like as soon as you turn it on, it just goes? I'm excited to play it.
Of your park cash is left, how much repayment, and the sales cut. As you see, the sales cut itself
No easy
will
tutorial.
decrease
Come
based
on,
the amount you pay
tutorial.
back or the amount of loan you take in the first place.
I'm an expert.
Thanks so much for watching and looking at the expanded management options of Planet Coaster 2.
Planet Coaster 2 is now available for pre-order, launching on November 6th for PC and console.
November 6th, there it is. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for this. This is a lot of, this is pretty dense, but that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, it's cool.